Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Police are now looking into the country's latest murder. That story is coming up straight ahead.
The Commissioner of Police concerned about crime in the country. The Minister of Tourism defends government's progress in the fight against crime.
Bahamian contractors reportedly losing interest in working on Bahamar. That story coming up.
A former Progressive Liberal Party MP speaks out on the party's upcoming convention. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm KRISTINA McNeil. Topping news tonight, the nation recorded its third homicide in less than 48 hours last night when a drive-by shooting left 1 dead and 2 with gunshot wounds. GIORGIO STURRUP has the details.
Police are on the scene here at a popular hangout called the Sad Trap, where the country's latest murder has just taken place, and police say they are now launching an island-wide investigation. Some 25 crime scene markers surrounded the lifeless body of a woman who became the country's latest murder victim just after 8 p.m. last night. Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean says they are now searching for those responsible for these shootings.
A number of persons were out here having a social event when the occupants of a vehicle pulled up and fired several shots and sped off. That resulted in one person being fatally shot, a female. We know that 2 persons were rushed to hospital, a male and a female, and they are listed in serious condition.
Dean was unable to provide details on the identities of the other shooting victims. This as social media was flooded with reports that the shooting was gang-related. Police say they are pursuing every line of inquiry to determine if there is a possible gang link.
Police are putting a public appeal out that we need to arrest these killers. We need to take these persons off the streets. We know that members of the public know who they are, know what's happening. Persons might have seen some things. They know just where these killers live, where they are. And we need the public support. We need the partnership of the public to bring these persons to justice. If you know of persons in possession of illegal firearms, possession of drugs, we need you to turn these people in. That drugs might be in your home, that drugs might be in your workplace, on your vehicle, might be the guns and the drugs might be the ones that cause your death.
Reporting for our news, I'm GIORGIO STURRUP.
Well, as GIORGIO mentioned, this is the third murder in the country in 48 hours. Police have confirmed that the man killed early Monday morning has been identified as 21-year-old Coleman Edgecombe, also known as Coldest of Pinewood Gardens. Police say Edgecombe was on the most wanted list and was known to police. Well, it's been a while since Commissioner of Police Ellison GREENSLADE has spoken out on crime in the country. He recently told our news that he has been very careful so as to prevent crime statistics from being used in a game of political football. This as he admits the Royal Bahamas Police Force is at times fighting an uphill battle against crime.
I do have some concerns. I'm going to be very careful how I speak to it this evening, but I do have some concerns because we're fighting uphill and we're working extremely hard. But we need everybody to be on the same page. But we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep working. And I think I'd better leave it right there for now.
The commissioner is not alone in his concerns. The country recently recorded 3 murders in a span of 48 hours. A public domain survey conducted in August determined that despite the fact that the murder count was trending downward, Bahamians said crime was the #1 issue facing the Bahamas. However, the commissioner says some progress was made during the month of October.
There is a God in the heavens, and we are going to be able to report to you very soon about crime statistics and what has happened for the year in review. We have indeed turned the corner. This month was a rather difficult month. October was a rather difficult month for us after a significant lull in serious crimes. Our numbers are significantly down in all categories of crime.
But he says now, more than ever, the police need the cooperation of all involved in the fight against crime. GREENSLADE says he believes Bahamians have had enough of crime in the country.
What I see now is a sense of disgust by members of the public. People have had enough, and they're even turning in their own family members and friends. We are seeing that. We're never going to expose people like that. We're never going to speak to their names. We're not even asking them to be witnesses. They simply pass the information on and react on it.
There have been 84 murders so far this year, according to the Nassau Guardian's records. There were 147 murders recorded in 2015, the highest ever reported in the country. Well, Minister of Tourism Obi Wilchcombe is speaking on crime in the country, saying these recent incidents are gang-related and not a true reflection of the progress that the Progressive Liberal Party is making in the fight against crime.
We have to look at, is it where we want it to be completely? No, there's much more work to be done, but we have made progress. We have seen recently some crime. It appears to be gang-related again. We have to infiltrate again and ensure that we are able to bring a stop to it. But the message must continue that we are a country, we must work collectively, and we must get the message out that we're all responsible for crime, and we're all responsible for the elimination of it. And so let's get that message out to the people. But insofar as the government is concerned, we have made progress.
According to Wilchcombe, it is obvious that the tactics taken by the government have been paying off, although the numbers are not exactly where he wants them.
Seen the numbers decline, and when you have any peaks or any difficulties arising out of any kind of internal issues within the communities that result in murders, then it means that we have to get back out there and continue and intensify even more.
In other news, one day after holding a press conference to defend his name in an altercation at the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort, Saturday night, reggae artist GIORGIO and his manager were brought before the magistrate's court today to answer to charges of disturbing the peace. Secretary GIORGIO Alcock and his manager Tarif Kidnane Mason appeared before Magistrate Samuel McKinney in court number 1. The charges were dropped against the recording artist after reviewing surveillance footage of the incident. However, Mason was charged with disturbing the peace and ordered to pay a fine of $150 or serve 1 month in jail. And Bahamian contractors are said to be losing interest in working on Baha Mar. Bahamas Contractors Association President Leonard Sands telling our News it's been too long since work stopped with no definitive answer as to the role Bahamian contractors will play in remobilization. Kaya Joaquin tells us more.
Sands said usually whenever there is work being done to a major project of this size, you would see some sort of movement. But in this case, there is none, which is why he says contractors really don't feel as though that March goal is realistic. He also spoke about the loss of interest contractors have in the Baha Mar project, saying that if they're invited to come back and do some work, they'll be happy with that. But if not, they're fine with that as well.
I mean, use your eyes. You would see persons moving about, equipment moving about. And if you pass a property, there's no equipment moving. There's no people moving. There's people along the fence line. That's it.
The details surrounding the sale of the property remain sealed in court, and Prime Minister Christie has already indicated that remobilization was scheduled to start during September.
When you have to take the size of that project, determine the timeline it takes to assess what a new owner would need to do, then consider the new owner would have new plans in which they would want to see happen. That period in itself is beyond 5 months.
Sands said to date there has been no confirmation that members of the Contractors Association have been involved in the remobilization process.
And we've heard reports where a person said as much as another $1 billion need to be spent. Absolutely, everybody would want to be a part of that. If it does not happen, though, I think that contractors have become a little more careful in where they focus on having projects, and I think that they probably started to look at other things as the next project to go to and not hinging everything on, I have to do work at Baha Mar.
Now, when it comes to payment of contractors, Sands says he understands many of the bigger companies have been paid or receiving millions. But there are still millions owed to the smaller contract companies. And it's something he said will be discussed Thursday night during a Contractors Association town hall. That meeting takes place at the BCPOU Hall at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Reporting for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Thanks, Kyle. Still to come on Our News.
The PLP convention expected to be held early next year. We have the details straight ahead.
Residents say the stench of trash and dead animals is unbearable in their neighborhood. When Grand Bahama residents can expect power to be restored. That's coming up when Our News returns.